Welcome to She's Black,
where we keep it real, raw, and relentless
about all things black women.
Welcome to She's Black,
where we keep it real, raw, and relentless about all things black women. All right, peace, y'all. As y'all know, my name is Kibed. I'm one of your hosts, and we also have...
I'm India.
And so we're here with another episode of the She's Black show. Y'all, I'm super excited about this. Y'all are really going to love it. As y'all can see, we have guests. So they're going to introduce themselves in a moment. But remember, if you are watching us on YouTube, go ahead and subscribe to our channel. If you have not, make sure you share this video. And if you like it, I don't want to press you to like it before you watch it. But if you like the video, make sure you go back and hit the notifications bell so you can make sure you don't miss an episode. Also, you can catch us on Facebook at The She's Black Show. Catch us on Instagram at The She's Black Show. And of course, on our website at www.theshe'sblackshow.com. If you're just riding in your car or cleaning up your house, vibing and listening, we're on your favorite podcast station. That's Google, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, etc. And that's just She's Black. So make sure you guys are following, sharing, supporting. We really appreciate it. It is the best thing you can do for us is just to share our work and just keep us going, keep us motivated. So I'm going to give these amazing ladies an opportunity to introduce themselves. Today's topic is Queens Create. So we have a lot of queens representing today, and they do all sorts of different things in the creative environment. So they're going to introduce themselves and tell you a little bit about what they do, who they are, and then we're going to dig into this conversation, y'all.
Oh, it's on me.
Yeah, let's start with Miss JB.
Hi, and my name is JB Carter. For those of you who do know me, my name is Jennifer Carter. That's where the J comes from. I am one of the creatives here, and I'm a part of a collective creative group here in Southwest Georgia. My creative talent is comedy, so I do all things comedy, all things funny. That's hosting, whether it's a baby shower, it's an event, my own comedy show. Oh, bless you.
Bless.
2 times. I'm waiting on the third one. Anywho, just want to let you know that I am all things funny. So, it's on you.
Oh, it's on me. Hello, everyone. JB Cole. All right, my name is Brittany. I go by the name of Lyrically Tru. I'm a creative entrepreneur here from Albany, Georgia. Lyrically Tru is one of my brands. It is my artist name that is branded, finally. I own a business called Hippie Chains and Things, as well as CEO of one of the collective creative groups called Southwest Georgia Creatives. It is an agency. Also have a True Train of Thought. Quite a few things that I do. I sing, dance, I write poetry. I'm an author, a screenplay write. I went to school for theater, so all things arts, clothing designer, hairdresser, makeup artist. I kind of indulge. I indulge and I explore all my creative outlets. So
All around hustler.
yeah.
I always say, what do you don't do?
What do you don't do?
Have babies right now. So I'm using the sacral chakra for the other babies, birthing the other babies.
Right.
So other seeds being birthed.
That's real. Peace, love, divine light. I am Nexus. If you're from Albany, then you might know me as Jaffe. I am the energy and the creation behind Voices Radio, where valuable opportunities inspire collaborations to elevate society. And I am also the energy behind Linked with Love from Nexus, which is a handcrafted jewelry, accessories. I do herbal teas, an array of things in those aspects. I'm venturing into acting. I also host, I'm the co-creator of Poetic Therapy Rhyme and Release. And I have also partnered with the next voice you will hear on forming another creative outlet in Southwest Georgia that is known as Lane Voices. So I'm excited to be here and to share the space with these beautiful spirits.
What I'm supposed to say out there?
Just say hey.
Hey there. I'm Briley. Just like Nexus was just saying, we have worked together on a creative endeavor called Lame Voices that was dope. We still running, but we do Lames in the Park. I'm also COO of Lame, Living As Me Every Day. It's a lifestyle brand. Basically, it's all about living as you every day. No ifs, ands, buts about it. Unapologetically, just being who you are. I'm a singer, songwriter. I'm a groover of sorts. I dance. I'm not a choreographer, but if you teach me, I got it. But I am also a part of the Southwest Georgia Collective as well as Lyrically Tru and JB. So I am grateful. I am thankful to be in this group of wonderful women and just to be a part of the Albany creative group now, and just to keep thriving and flourishing and see what else I can do. So. Yeah.
Well, awesome. So as y'all can see, we have some wonderful women and some amazing conversations around, the environment of creativity, which I think ultimately is what life revolves around, if you ask me. But then again, I'm biased. I'm biased to creators. I think all women are, because at core, that we were born creators. Yeah. But with that being said, I do want to introduce one more person. We have Miss Snow over here. She have a few things to say to us every now and then. She really just here to keep us in check. I don't know if y'all be catching the side eyes and everything, but she here to keep everybody in check. And so if y'all not watching and you hear the baby, that's Miss Snow, and y'all pay attention to what she's saying because she mean what she say, okay? All right. So really quick, as usual, we do have sponsors for our shows, and today's sponsor is going to be brought to you by True Train of Thought, coming from Miss Lyrically Tru. So we are going to let her tell us a little bit about True Train of Thought, what it is, and how you can reach her and all of those things.
Okay. So True Train of Thought is actually my publishing company, not only just for myself, but it open for all creatives who are authors, who are poets, who are writers, just looking for a place and an outlet that they can publish their works. For me, it started with a collection of poems that I've written across my whole life that I never was comfortable sharing, because for me, when I would write poetry, I never could have a consistent thought. It would always just bounce all over the place. And True Train of Thought came to me when I was watching a lot of Muji videos, and I came into the awareness of that we're not our thoughts. We're really a watcher of our thoughts, and we can literally choose and pick and orchestrate and control and design like our thoughts. We have the power to really tap in and explore. So for me, True Train of Thought was me being and birthing the truest and rawest and purest form of who I wanted to be. Not, I would say, anything someone has told me, not my own inner enemy trying to derail me. So the True Train of Thought was me living in my highest form and my rawest form. It's a whole movement, because it's not, even though it's a collection of poems, as far as the first book that will be published, it's also a podcast, and it's also just all artistic works that we have to just, we're birthing on earth.
Okay. All right. Amazing, y'all. So again, our topic today is Queens Create. And we just kind of delved into a little bit. She got into it earlier when she was talking about, since she's not into having baby mode, but being able to take that sacral chakra and utilize it for creating other things. And so, at the end of the day, Queens Create is the topic, not just because we are all creatives, but because by nature, whether you pick up a paintbrush or you write a poem or you sing a song or you dance or you just clean your house, you decorate your house, you take care of plants, whatever it is that you do, by nature, if you were born feminine, if you were born woman, you were born to create. And so being able to really embrace that and tap into that is a beautiful thing. And a lot of times it's so big for some of us that it just comes out in force, in song, in dance, in comedy, in hairstyle, and makeup artists, it comes out. where people cannot ignore how much of a creative we are. So I'm excited about this conversation. So y'all, really this is kind of a free for all, obviously, if somebody feels inspired to kind of dig in on whatever point we're at, just dig in and say what you got to say and feel it and tag team, however you want to have the conversation. Only thing we ask is that you be real, you be raw, and you be relentless. So be fully yourself. No, don't leave anything left unturned and just give it to people, because sometimes we shy away from those real conversations and those raw things that really, can bring about healing or inspire people or get people to just kind of recognize they're not in it alone. So that's what it's really all about. So we're going to start off with y'all just kind of telling each person, like, what is creativity to you? Because it's different for different people. Yes. So what is creativity to you? Whoever wants to dig in first.
Well, I'll go. So for me, creativity is you being able to externally express yourself. Whether it's vocally, like you said, through painting, JB's comedy, it's something that not necessarily has to bring joy or excitement to others, but it's something that you express outside of yourself that's also a representation of you, that excites you and gives you further inspiration to continue to drive. I know for me, creativity can be anything from working on my jewelry. It's not only something that I'm doing out of an expression of love that I would love for somebody else to want and to say, hey, that's dope, but it brings about healing. It's a form of meditation. It's a form of grounding and rejuvenation. So it also helps me to get out of my head sometimes when I'm in a certain dark space, so it might even be me picking up a canvas and starting to paint, listening to music, so there are a lot of different creative outlets, and sometimes it's similar and it looks the same to a lot of us, but like you said, creativity could even be like we were talking about it earlier, the birthing process and how it's different for each woman, and even being the same woman giving birth on multiple occasions, like it can be a different creative process. Even how we raise those individual children has to be creative, what I'm saying, because we all need different things. So yeah.
That's it.
That's pretty much.
That's it.
Yeah, I will add that it's creativity. The beauty of it is that it's no judgment.
Yeah.
That whatever you create literally is always a masterpiece.
Yeah.
And I think tapping into that energy itself is cultivated over time, especially, and this is beyond like the gifts and talents and abilities that we have. Like, we have to cultivate that over time in order to be quote unquote good by our standards.
Yes.
I gotta add that in there because sometimes we be like, hey, so to be whatever good is to your standards, but beyond the external gifts, but the way we speak is creative. How we speak is creative. The word choices that we use is creative.
How we speak to each other.
Yes.
Right.
So creative. And even with different people and different energies, there's a different thing. So for us, it's just like, yeah, girl. For us, it's just like, let's say So it's even that is like a creative flow of how we even have resonance, like soul resonance with each other and our relatability. So I think life in general is just creative. Like, we co-creating this thing.
Yeah.
Every day.
Every single day. Every single day. We have a new and blank canvas.
Yeah. I honestly think though, like, although I do know like God is love, God is creation too. So because of that, it's like it's gonna be forever going, forever flowing, no matter who it's coming from, where it lands, whatever. It gotta come from somewhere.
Yeah.
And it's gonna be a blank canvas.
Right.
You just never know what's gonna come of it. Just like the sky. You just never know. You never know what you're gonna
Get
get.
out my head, Brian.
but you just never know. You
Yeah.
never know. Including with yourself. The farther down you go the farther you go, you just never know what you're gonna dig up, whether good or bad.
I agree. I think creativity is really the willingness to be an open vessel. It's the willingness to like open yourself up to allow things to come through you. Just like children, you know what I'm saying? They come through us, you know? And so just opening yourself up to allow divine things oftentimes to just come through you is, you know, that's the beginning of any creativity. When we're closed off because of judgment, we're closed off because of insecurities, when we're closed off because of the mundane, everyday things that we've been trained to do in life, sometimes we don't allow ourselves to really fully vest in our creativity. And so, you know,
Ooh, get out of my life.
yeah, those can be the points where, I mean, I
I
experienced it.
think we've all experienced that to a degree.
I'm
Like,
my kernel.
some of y'all have literally seen, you know, with Peach Nectar, but India's kind of been around a little bit, and she knew, y'all may have heard of it, but back in the day, I did a show called Wet Mike Wednesday. And Wet Mike Wednesday, you know, I love that show, but I went through things in life that literally, like, I closed off. I could not myself continue that journey. And so, you know, but it doesn't mean I was not a creative anymore. It just meant I had to go into solitude. I had to go into my own space, and I had to clean up the mess that was clogging up my, you know, my opening, you know, and clear it out. So with that being said, you know, I think when it comes to creativity, it's really about just being open and being free and being, you know, not so tied down and clogged up, and just letting things flow through you. So that's my thought on it. India, anything?
I'm sorry, I just had a brain fart. Can somebody else go ahead?
That was, you know, and you were like looking like it too, because the whole time I was like, I don't know, she went somewhere.
I'm sorry, my mind went back to Wet Mike Wednesdays, and then my mind went back to some stuff that was going on like a long time ago then. So yeah, can we?
Okay, it's no worries. Don't worry.
I remember Wet Mike
Straight
Wednesdays.
brain fart.
I used to sneak in with Mike Wednesday, Chill Bar Lounge. That's when I was a babe. My stepdad used to be like, "Go do some poetry." I'd be like, "Yeah."
But yeah, so
Wet Mike.
we used to really enjoy that. But with that being said, so ladies, what do y'all think inspires you to do what it is that you do, whether it's for yourself creatively or for the community creatively? What inspires you?
Life. For me, is life. Everyday life is hilarious. Even when it's not, I have to find the funny in it. It took for COVID to happen for me to realize that I need that.
What, it was like a release for you?
Girl, it's everything. It's
Your center.
It is. It's most definitely. This is the best analogy. I call it my laughable orgasm.
Okay, I like that.
Okay, that's a lot.
Yeah.
That's heavy. That's a lot.
That was a wonderful one.
Yeah.
Come on.
And I don't ever think I've said that aloud before. As far as it being as far as it being deemed or called that aloud for others to hear. I've often thought that and tried to toy with different words, because you know sometimes when you hear the word orgasm, people oh, y'all finna do something. So but I love the wordplay. I love that it's therapeutic for me. I love that it does. It does do that for me. So I love that it's relatable, because real life is funny. And when you're relatable and you talk about real things, that's a form of transparency. That's a form of you being genuine. That's a form of someone really getting to see into who you are.
Yeah.
To where you're naked to a certain extent, but not totally naked, because I don't feel everyone deserves that.
Right.
Yeah.
So I used to be the person that was, oh, I don't care what you know. Now I'm just like
Some things are sacred. Yeah.
yeah, because and I'll tie that into secrecy versus privacy. And that's one thing that people don't quite understand, because we live in an era of social media where everything is put on a big screen. Your love language has to be material.
Right.
A man has to buy this and do this to show that he loves you, and that's not the way for me. For me is for me to be able to be my complete self, and a lot of the time that is childlike.
That is so hard, though.
No.
To find for me to find someone that I can be like, I have dated guys where like they'll think I'm serious, but everybody else will be like, "Oh, you're the most retarded, goofy person ever." But like to me, the guy will actually feel comfortable enough to just say random stuff and just sing or just be goofy. It's so hard for me to find someone to be comfortable like that with. But if I find someone, then I know it's awesome. But it's hard to be that open with somebody.
I used to think the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
And it took her to tell me that I was bottling myself off.
Mm-hmm.
It was the things that I was willing to share that caused me not to stay in certain relationships, if you know what I mean. It was the stuff that I thought I needed to hide to be more grown up, to look this type of way, or to be viewed this type of way. So that also came with, validation. Ooh, and when I cut that off, when I let go of what people thought of me personally, because of course we still want to know how we're viewed by our peers to a certain extent, but
Not
to
letting
be
it be
worried
your
about
driving
what
force
my
on how
mom
you act,
thought, what the people I work with, maybe the people at the church, or people that I were friends with, or whatever, like, because I was the friend that no matter what you had going on, I supported it. Like, if you did hair, girl, I need some braids. If you was out here selling t-shirts and boo-boo sandwiches, I was like, do you want paper or plastic? Because that's my friend. I'm here. Y'all need mustard too. We got mustard.
Yeah.
We got Dijon and Ruggler mustard. So it was one of those things, and I also feel like, for me, you have to keep people on your team that question who you are, and not as a person, but who you are in that moment. Because sometimes we can get stuck. We can be so great in one moment, and we want to constantly live in that moment.
Yep. Yeah.
Good point.
But that keeps us stagnated and hinders us from being able to
There you
progress.
go.
Yeah.
So I don't want to be the smartest person in my circle.
Right.
I don't want to be the most aware person in my circle. I want to see you, and we just having a random conversation, and for you to say, hey, where did you go? Where did you go right there? Hey, what are you doing right now? Because, I mean, you could be talking to me and I'm fully engaged. Yeah, I look fully engaged and won't hear nothing you said.
Oh, yeah.
Because we can be like that Monday. Like, we was talking, and then I was like,
We started talking about a situation somebody went through, and she put it on. I said, take that off. That's not yours. Take
I
it
mean,
off.
I instantly took it on.
She really went into it. Nope, that's not your skin. Take that, put that back over there.
And I was like, but listen. She was like,
no, ma'am.
Because I had to do a brother
I
like
do
that
that.
at the
No,
barber
ma'am.
shop a couple weeks ago with Khalil, and he was sitting there. The person walked in, said something to him, and it was like you just went from jolly, cheery, like over here doing your thing, to like you fumbling around. Hey, hold on, take a breath, breathe, let it go.
I don't cut no hair.
Switch that up. Cause now you finna be having your brother gassed up and stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Take them over, put them clipper down.
right. Yeah, like just breathe. And he was like, what you say? Breathe. Just
Breathe.
And he was like, alright, sis. Alright.
Yeah, sometimes
Like,
you
yo.
need that. And you need people to know when you're thrown off. Like,
Yeah.
I can literally be, I can see Brittany but not be able to touch her, and she can turn around and I'm like, oh, okay, excuse me. Excuse me, come try to go.
Right.
Yeah.
And then just walk up and be like, what the problem is? And she be like,
Yeah. I think that's when you
because
allow
on your
people-
face it say, look if you book.
Yeah.
And I know you ain't got it in you, but I'm with it now.
Hey, I think that's when you allow people to see your mustard seed and the inner child, like your silly, the goofy, the pureness of who we are. That the child, like innocence. That's our mustard seed. And over time, stuff, debris, decay, people, baggage, all this stuff kind of come through. But when you meet people that can pierce through the root and plant a root, you know, so those types of people where it's like, I can always be like, okay, I don't have to be. I can be me.
Yeah.
Because bad as we want to think that people, you know, because I'm 41, I want to think that no one at 41, I'm not meeting a representative. But that's, with age does not come maturity.
Yeah. You're 41 and 39 and 28 and 2.
Right.
Yep, all of those.
So it's one of those things where I remember saying, oh, they too old to be doing this. No, they're not.
Right.
No, they're not, because we want to think, and that's just like loyalty and tenure. Baby, they are not interchangeable. It's either one or the other.
All right, yeah, so we're going to take a moment, and then we'll get back on the
Inspiration.
Yeah, the inspiration.
So as far as my inspirations and what inspires me would most definitely be young people and being able to create outlets and atmospheres that aren't just conducive for older creators, but for young people to be able to see a certain level of creativity being exposed to them and expressed. Because oftentimes we are disconnected and removed from who we are as a people when it comes to our connection to the earth and to the arts. And so being able to make sure that they have certain outlets, because I know as a young person, I was what I would consider a bit privileged, even though we were poor to a degree. I was privileged when it comes to the experiences and the outlets that I was given growing up. And I can remember like watching things like Teen Summit on BET growing up and saying, oh, I'm gonna be on Teen Summit. You know what I'm saying? Like looking forward to certain things like that, or hearing on the radio about Kitty Jock Jams, and it's like, oh, now it's time for me to go, and it doesn't exist anymore. And so being able to create those outlets, even with the jewelry, kids like, oh, what are those? Like, what's that? Oh, this is this stone, you know, and it does this, and oh, well, you know, and now they're able to explore certain levels of creativity. Even with hosting the poetry night, it was 2 young ladies there, and when I talked to them later, it was like, oh, they were able to express stuff that I think about sometimes, but I don't know how to articulate it. And so it's just showing them that there are alternatives to being able to express yourself and to have these creative releases outside of what is mainstreamed. So, yeah.
I think that's so important because, like you said, you had to sneak into Wet Mic Wednesday, right? One of my... Well, I moved here from Texas, and in Texas, we did poetry night in a Black-owned bookstore. It's a family environment. Anybody can come in. Poetry night is usually in a cafe, a coffee shop, somewhere that anybody can come, right? But then I got here, and I wasn't networked yet. I didn't know anybody, and poetry was my passion, so I was just like, I don't care if I don't know nobody, I'm going to run for it anyway. And I started actually at Little Jamaica, and the name of the first poetry organization was called Flint River Flows. And it was at Little Jamaica, and then I was just, busy with life, and then Bobby, who owns Little Jamaica, had some things going, and so it kind of like trickled off slowly. And when Q opened up Chill, he sent people. He sent people to come and ask me to do a poetry show there. And at first I was like, nope, I don't want to do no poetry show at the club. And so, and I had reasons why, not that I was against the club. It's just that club owners want to make money. Poetry events are about the craft. And sometimes when you prioritize one over the other, you lose whatever, you'll lose the creativity. And so I was kind of like, nah. But he was just open. He kept on persistent. So I said on my terms, he was with it. But the biggest disappointment or the biggest challenge was that it was 21 and up. And for me, it did not seed the next generation. And I think as creatives, especially those of us who facilitate outlets, facilitate opportunities, I think we are so responsible for ushering that next generation in, not just feeling like the mic is ours to have for the rest of our life till we take it to our grave, but it only continues to grow if we can develop and, you know what I'm saying, groom young people, or just create a space for them to groom themselves. Like healers, we don't, if you're a healer, you don't actually do the healing. You facilitate the space for the healing. And so it's the same thing with creativity. You don't make them into this kind of poet or this kind of singer or this kind of artist. You create the space so they learn to express and be them. And so you're absolutely right. Like that was one of my biggest things was I feel like, I hate to say it, but I'm being honest, I feel like this city lacks right now in young creativity for reasons like, honestly, Wet Mike. I love Wet Mike, but I could not create a space for young people.
Right.
And that's an issue for me because, like, all the creatives that are out here expressing right now, we're our age. And it's that little window is getting thinner and thinner and thinner and,
When we were... I'm sorry.
No, go.
When we were doing Lame Voices, that was... Well, we still do Lame Voices, but since COVID, we just kind of stopped because we didn't want to be the reason for anybody getting sick during that time, and we didn't know how to control it at the time. But we had a lot of younger kids come to us like, hey, I want to be a part of Lame Voices. Like, how can we do our music or how can we do our poetry? But it was hard with the venues that we had because it was 21 and up. So we was trying to find different venues where we could host something else for the kids to come. But then it was getting the kids to come. So then we was like, well, the best way we could do it was probably do Lames in the Park. Everybody can come to the park. So we found a way where we can incorporate the kids, but then when we realized at the park, then nobody really want to do open mic like that. So it was just like, we coming together, but it's always something that's coming in between some way. And for us, it did. But I think it's just we just haven't found that one thing. And I know it's like literally right there in my lap. I just ain't seen it yet. Like I'm looking too hard.
The one thing, two things. One, I remember y'all did take Wet My Wednesday. Y'all used to meet with a group of us at the coffee shop on Leo Road. So I remember that.
We did.
Back in
For the writers' workshops, the writers block. Yep.
Writer's block. But I feel the thing is when it comes to just creativity and creating that outlet, we would literally have to implement something within the school system, because to host an event, it's an event that they come to, and they really come to just see what's going on, or to be entertained themselves, not to necessarily participate. They come to see. Well, my mama told me to come, so it takes like they kind of form and become while they're at home, and also at school they get to stretch out a little bit more, and because everyone's home life is different. Is different. Like you were saying earlier that you felt privileged, and even though you grew up kind of like in poverty, we did too. But when you have nothing, that is the best way to create. Like that's when you really tap into the creative juices. Like,
for sure.
Do you know the foods that we created? Like we had milkshakes,
or the games,
milk and sugar, sugar water, bologna cups. You know,
I created hustles like in middle school and high school. Like I'm finna sell this picture. I'm finna like, you know what I'm saying? I had like this little series of girls I would draw like, and them was my go-tos. Like, but you finna get these girls, like, you know what I'm saying? And then it elevated to like sewing purses and stuff like that. But we also had like a hub for creatives, like with the Ritz Cultural Center. You know, when I was growing up, and we would go there during the summer, and you got everything from theater to graphics to art to dance. You know, so it was like we got to do a whole lot. And so even like you were saying, being creative, like I saw at a sister's house the other day, I was retwisting her locks, and I looked to the corner and I saw an Easy Bake Oven, but I didn't have the food Easy Bake. I had the one where you could bake beads and clay to make jewelry, and it was like, hey, my mama did give me that, and I used to hook them beads up, like, and that was like, and she honed in on things that I like to do. So whenever I would get something, even though it'll be like, dang, I ain't got nothing, I want something, but when I got something, it was something that was going to elevate what was already in me
right.
and that I wanted. Right.
Your mama
I
she was watering those seeds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She was watering those because we're full of seeds, and it's some in here what we may pick out and be like, I kind of like this.
Yeah.
You keep doing it,
Yeah.
Right.
and nobody has to tell you to do it.
Yeah.
And so,
Yeah.
as parents, if they literally, especially the feminine energy,
Yeah.
and that's why I'm like, I would love for women to have that opportunity to really just live in that feminine energy and that nurturing. Men too, because we all have both masculine and feminine energy. Have to put that out there, but to water.
Yeah.
To water the seed.
Yeah.
Don't stomp on it. Be delicate with it, but water it.
Yeah.
And if you start watering, then the seed take care of you.
Yeah. Because a lot of times I didn't understand why she would have me going and doing and being. You know what I'm saying?
Girl,
Like, man,
yeah.
I don't want to
Girl,
go.
yeah,
Like,
yeah,
you finna
yeah,
get up
yeah.
here and you going to recite this
Yeah.
piece and you going
We
to say
went
this
to the
Bible verse and
girls'
you going to be the
club.
Sunday school leader and you going to, you know what I'm saying? But then it's like, oh, it actually did prepare me to be able to speak in a group of people and not be ashamed and not like be
and I
worried
never
about what
I
they
never
thinking of
understood
saying.
I never
Now that
understood
y'all
it.
talk about that,
your whole life.
now that y'all talk about that, like, cause my mama would try to push me out. Oh, before I start that, I want to correct myself. I said I didn't know where it was and it's in my lap. I already know. I just ain't thought of it because me and you already talked about it before. But I'm gonna keep that on the low. But
it's
that's
a
in the
wrap.
works,
Baby, that is a seed. That is a big baby.
Yes,
That is
so
a big
we're
baby.
gonna let that sit there in the ground.
Just
But so, but I didn't realize, like, my mom used to try to push me to basically be more open and be more, because I'm still real shy. I'm sure my shyness is even showing right now in this interview, especially when I tried to introduce myself. But now I find myself being in these positions now where I have to put myself out there more. And my mama, so apparently my mama did see those things before I could even recognize it. Although that is also in her character. She probably just wanted another little mini-me. But
Well, sometimes you find yourself living vicariously through your kids, not to where it's overpowering, because we've seen that to where it's like, I didn't have time to be this, or
Right.
I didn't have enough room to be this, so I want to push you to do this, or I want to push you to do that, instead of just honing in on what your kids like or what they're into. Like for us, it was my grandfather and my grandma. Like my granddad was everywhere, like Officers Club. My last name is Carter, so of course like Carter's Grill. So all of the rooms that they had there, it was always something going on there. I don't know if a lot of you are old enough to remember like the Heritage House Hotel that set across the crystals. They had a lot of stuff. So we actually did like Black History programs. Yeah, we actually did Black History programs. I can remember my grandfather taking me to the ballet, to the symphony.
That was a
the
nice-
You got to experience a lot of
I
stuff.
went to go see the orchestra at the big theater.
Yeah. So we were exposed to, we were exposed to a lot of stuff, and we didn't understand why. It was just, this is what you do. You know what I'm saying? This is what you're supposed to do. And I didn't realize it until, like I tell people, I didn't realize we didn't have no money until we was like high school. Cause like my mama was not with that. My mom was making $1 out of 15 cents. Like I didn't even know you could get no full meal at McDonald's. It come with a drink and fries, baby. Cause I ain't eat cheese back then. You gonna get this hamburger, you're supposed to get a cheeseburger. Y'all get one fry and split it.
Yeah.
Go home and I'm gonna cook some fried. Baby, a meal. Where y'all get that from?
I didn't realize till I was older, but I was a picky eater. Like my mom would just buy a Happy Meal, and she would eat the nuggets, I would eat the fries, or vice versa, and that would literally be our meal for the day. Like, but I was a picky eater, so it was fine for her. So like, I ain't got much. My baby don't eat much. Thank you. This all I need right here.
And me, it was
So-
and for us, it was the total opposite. Like I can remember my great grandfather having a garden in the back. Like right there where Spoon and Barbershop used to be, like right down the corner of corn
Facts.
or whatever.
Yeah.
So my
And
great, it's a greenhouse right there, 707 corn. That's where my great grandmama lived or whatever. So I mean, it was chickens. It was like fresh vegetables. Like there's not a vegetable to this day that I don't eat. because I was like that. Like, and then the first 2-3 years I stayed with my grandma. My mom was a teen parent or whatever, and she was like, every time I was looking for you, you would always be in the refrigerator in the crisper just eating raw vegetables, and I'm still there.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
I mean, it's some of those things like I hate to hear people say, "Oh, my kids don't eat vegetables." Why?
Introduce it.
But you didn't give it to him.
That's right.
Cause he still go pick. He literally, if a tomato grow and he see it, and before it ain't gotta be right. If he see it before we see it, you can count that tomato gone. I hope you weren't planning on using it. It's a wrap. You know, we have to stop him from getting the peppers, like, cause maybe you can't just go eat that pepper.
Don't be right now.
My husband picked like a couple things of okra off the garden yesterday. And I was like, ain't no okra grew? Because, you know, you harvest okra every day.
Yeah.
I was like, no okra grew? He was like, yeah, but they ate it before we got in the house. So I know they ain't washed it. They ate the dirt, everything. That come, which is fine, you know, dirt don't hurt.
We don't have to speak it.
That's why the immune system strong.
We
Yeah, God made dirt don't hurt. Go ahead and, you know.
With no 5-second rule. It just
Right.
ain't.
Really, basically. And I'm just listening, you know, and I'm like, these are creative forms of expression, because I can remember us loading up in the Buick and like going on road trips with my grandparents, and it was like, no, grandma is cooking for the road trip, and we're gonna stop at the rest stop and we're going to eat, because you're not eating in the car. You know what I'm saying?
Cars
And we
were made
have
to be
chicken
eaten back then.
sandwiches and all type of like hot food. Like, we're gonna put it in the cooler, we're gonna wrap it in foil, it's gonna stay hot. Like, and that's being creative and being able to work with what you have, being resourceful. Like,
And your preparation is the key to everything. What you can prepare for, like, and see all the way through.
Yeah.
That's like back in the day. And it
was a lot of prep work.
I don't want to say
was.
just back in the day, but I think that generation of women, that girth, the warrior woman, is being birthed now. But it's us. It's us now. Because back then we was like grandma and mama and my old aunties. My mom's the youngest of 14, so we saw them do it. And now it's like, it's our turn. It's our turn.
So I'm an auntie.
Yes. And for me and my family, like, I'm the baby of the family, and you know it. But I was like, I'm 30, and I feel like I'm finally coming into season of blooming. And it was like, I thought I was a late bloomer, but it's perfect timing. It's perfect timing. So I was like, oh, that's how they work. Okay, gotcha. I got you. I'm glad I ain't peaking high school.
I think that's so important, because as a creative, and especially as a feminine creative, recognizing like eldership and recognizing certain levels that we get to, that we are responsible for other, you know, you go into the space of, when you're young, you just out here fumbling around with the world and seeing how you can manipulate it, in a sense, you know, with creativity. What you can do to make some leaves outside look like a batch of collard greens. You know, we played and we ate mud pies, and you know what I'm saying. We took the pine cones, stripped them down, and that was a chicken, you know, a drumstick and things. But as you get older, it goes from manipulating things in a creative way to like introspection and like really dealing with yourself. And then it comes outward, where you are and usually I feel like it starts to come out before you intend for it to. That's when people start seeking information and things out of you. You ain't invited. I'm gonna be honest. Like, I tell my husband all the time. I told him today. I was talking about a couple elders that I met when I first got here, and I'm a people person, but I'm not a people person. Like, I'm such a. You would never know, but I'm such an introvert. I really I'd be like, why they talking to me? Please stop talking to me.
What you see?
Please
what you
walk away
know.
from me.
Right.
But they keep coming, and like, it's so many people. Like, this, for me, this podcast is a part of people just continuously coming, asking me my perspective, my opinion, you know, what you feel about this, or what you think about this, and they'll drop some stuff on you that you'll be like, you don't want to go talk to your mama? Come on, you talking to me? And stuff I wouldn't even talk to my mama about. Like,
And it's been like that for me since I was a kid. Like, it used to freak my mama out. Like, once I hit preteen, it would just be random people
asking you, like,
just asking me stuff, or they wanted to talk, or here
Tell
come
their
that
whole
kid,
story.
or like, or
deep, dark
I mean,
stuff.
nothing. I don't know nothing about you. I don't know your story. You just talking. I could be at the doctor's office. We could be standing in line. I like, every time somebody had a crying baby and I reached out my arm, they just gave me the baby, and I'm like, y'all know people still children. You know what I'm saying? Right. But it was one of those things to where even as a child, I understood that there was a level of frustration there from the mom, and the worst thing you could do is be frustrated with your child because baby they giving the bad holler holler holler. So it was one of those things to where it used to scare the bejesus out of my mama, and then finally she just was like,
she accepted that's your
okay, maybe that's it. And then it took for me to realize here in the last year or so that love is my superpower. Like I struggled with that for so long because it's like I wanted to, because I just considered myself a fixer. And a lot of times when you're a fixer and you're the glue that holds everybody together, baby,
it's
that
draining.
It's draining. And that thing get real sticky. But I had to learn how to, number one, I'm still mastering the art of discernment, number one. Number two, some people deserve a little bit more than others. Some people deserve just a little bit, and some people they don't get anything from me. You understand what I'm saying? And I've mastered the art of looking like I care when I need to, because it's just enough for somebody to say, "Oh, well, she listening," because sometimes we just want to be heard. We want to be heard. And a lot of times we're not looking for advice. We just want someone else to hear what it may be or whatever. And I had to learn how to block those things out. Like, cause like the other
blocking
night,
a dump.
I almost went into somebody else's business, and Brittany was like, "Bring it back, bring it back." I was like, "But she's like,
right."
But
I call them energy leeches, like, and they don't necessarily mean to, but
like I always find it strange that people don't like ask you, is it okay for them to express something to you? It's like they go directly into like just dumping everything on you. It's like I might not even have to feeling
them. So here is something that I'm learning when it comes to just spiritual gifts. My spiritual gifts, when you're open, and people have a blockage, and you have an open. And I don't know if it's because we are all zodiac signs, but I'm also a Libra. So a lot of people mirror me. And because I'm open, people have no choice but to mirror that openness to me. And wherever is clogged on them, they dump. So for me, I used to, as a kid, I used to be like, "Oh, mama, why I'm thinking about this?" And she was like, "Who you been talking to?" You know? And so for me, I used to transmute people's energy all the time in order to give it back to them to say, "Is this what you saying?" And they was like, "Oh my God, how you know that?" I don't know. It just happened.
But then now I'm tired.
Right.
But see, this is what I have learned with even that with clearing is I can have any conversation about anything with anyone. The things that I too have myself experienced aren't heavy. But some things that are new for me, I could give you to a certain extent, but sometimes I have to literally tap into your energy and go in and put it on to help you, you know. And then after that, once we done came to a point of closure, I take it back off.
Take it off. It's a bad.
But I think a lot of people struggle in that, being able to take it off. Or like I would say for me, developing what I call psychic self-defense took a lot of time and a lot of trust in self. And so you can be worn and drained and all over the place dealing with, like, you know, that's another reason why I'm not really like a people person, like a big people person, because if you went to Wet Mic, yeah, I orchestrated the show and you hardly ever saw me as the face of it because I really didn't want what came with it when it comes to people, because I just pick up everybody's energy. If you depressed, no, I'm feeling that. If you angry, now I'm trying to figure that out. If you blah blah blah, and I didn't know what to do with it. So, you know, it took time building that up. So.
And that's
do you think you have stronger defense now?
Oh, absolutely. Oh, if you knew, and you know, if you knew me back then, you know me today, baby. This is a whole new being. I mean, not a new person. It is a I'll say a more complete, a more mature person.
Yeah. I could go in, I've learned, I think with being with theater for so long, I've learned how to switch into projector so that I'm not intaking everything. But when I switch into projector, nothing can change my energy. So
Right.
whereas anybody in the room can be like, and I still can keep mine and I can project it. So instead of and both of it come, both being I would say a receiver as well as a giver, both of it come with a level of openness. And so it's kind of me just switching footing of whether or not I'm going to receive or I'm going to give. So what I have done is like I have a whole ceremony even before I leave to say I am walking out of my door as a projector. I'm walking out giving. I'm walking out giving, and I will allow what I receive because you don't want to see.
Yeah, you want to choose.
Right.
I want to choose what I receive because I know when I'm in a place of giving, I can't give you bull.
Yeah.
I can't do it because then I can't go outside.
Yeah.
Right.
So
I'm glad you explained that because I feel like that's something like you explained exactly how I guess I've been feeling lately since I've had her. Like when it comes to a lot of things, like it seems like when it comes to different people now, it's like whereas people's energy used to bother me while I didn't want to be around them, it's like now I know how you say just pretty much project what they're giving, and then after they move, it's like I'm not affected by it. So I feel like that's something. I like the way you explained that.
Or even
that.
just
I like that
to
just
separate
with
yourself
Yeah.
from certain, you know what I'm saying? Because, like, I remember when I was in, like, my awakening phase, like, being that my energy and my spirit was a bit more open, like, I can literally, like, feel aches and pains and, like, headaches and other things
smell
that are
things
going
in your
on with
thoughts.
other people. And it's like, oh, my goodness, like, I never have, like, this going on, like, and then I might look, and I was actually at a concert, and I'm like, why am I feeling like this? I started to get hot, and it was just like, I'm overwhelmed, like, what is happening? Brother passed out right here, and I'm like, oh goodness, like, what in the world? And then another one, and then it was like, oh, then I'm just sitting there drained and tapped, because it's like, I felt like what was happening before it happened, and I was taking on that energy unknowingly. And so it's like, okay, now I can sense it, like, when it's coming. So it's like, okay, I'm gonna make sure, like, I keep some water and stay hydrated, like, make sure I'm doing certain things so that when those things are happening, it's like, what you say was going on with you again?
You can
know
speak
what I'm saying?
it.
Like, yes.
But even because some people may not even physically know what's going on with them, but their spirit is always seeking healing.
Yep.
And sometimes like it'll jump and say, "Oh, can you heal me?"
Right.
Okay, can you heal me? Can you heal me? And I remember I was on the ship, and we went into like one of the production cast people. They like went home, and nobody knew why they went home, but they called a massive meeting. And as soon as I walked in, I was like, "Oh, what's going on with my neck?" It's like I had a big cluck, and I was like, I can't even talk. So I literally started praying. I'm like, and then so finally when we get through it, they was like, yeah, he had to go home because his tonsils had swollen up and he had abscess. And I was like, not anymore. Like, not anymore. A week, he was supposed to be gone for like 6 months. He came back in 3 weeks. And I was like, so it comes in.
Yeah.
When you know you and you know what you feel like, and you know it, when there is foreign energy, you literally can speak to it.
And be like, nah.
And but you can also transmute it.
Yep.
You can transmute it. You have that ability.
It's kind of the same way with partners, or just being able to know, to sense something before it actually matriculates into something else. And what I mean by that is just to be able to hear them on the phone and say, you know, I was just calling to check on you.
Right.
Are you okay? Or whatever. And I've always been the kind of person that would call and check. But like in my current situation, I feel like I needed to do that for him. And it was a way for him to realize that, you know, that I was in tune with him and that I cared enough to call to check.
Right.
Because a lot of times when men are on the giving side and never on the receiving, it causes them to necessarily be, what's the word that I'm looking for? Reluctant to open up in some ways when it comes to different women, because I don't care what anyone says. The relationship that I was in previously, or if you and I dated someone, or if you and I dated the same person, we don't get the same version of that person.
That's
because
so true.
what may be okay for you was not okay for me, and vice versa. Or it was something about him, about me that allowed him to open up, or to necessarily say, you know, because I have a issue when it comes to women where it's like, well, you know, I mean, it's all right to ask a man if he's okay or this and that, but I don't feel like I should do this and I should do that. But then that leads me back to the elder piece where we were talking about how we realize, you know, certain things from our elders or whatever. One thing I like to reference is like when it used to be that time of the month for women, there were no men around.
Right.
So it was like, okay, we working in the fields, whether we were slaves or whatever. In our community, what they call you were on the rag this week. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make sure I cook for your family.
Taken care of.
You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna make sure your husband has something to eat. I'm gonna make sure your children are fed, because this is a time for you to be able to sit down and put your feet up. And I think there are a lot of times we as women, we require things of men that necessarily weren't required, that aren't for them, and weren't necessarily required by men prior to us.
Yeah,
right.
It's like you're my partner, but you want it to be, you know, people always say, oh, a happy wife is a happy life or whatever, but to me that's one-sided. You understand what I'm saying? Because we are a team. I want you to be able to come to me when there is a problem. I want to be able to know if you're struggling, because if you're struggling, we're struggling.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? And that has nothing to do with financially. I don't want us to struggle mentally, spiritually. I don't want us to emotionally or any of that, because that takes a toll on me. In turn, takes a toll on, especially if I don't have the capability to separate what you and I have going on. It may turn up at work, in our kids and stuff like that. So I think one of the things I wish that we could get back to as women is the capability to be able to trust women enough to say, I'm not okay. To be able to trust within, because a lot of us are friends or associates, but when some real stuff happen, them ain't the people you references as your A1 day one.
Right.
You want to reference the people that you turn up with or whatever. But when you go missing, or if you're dealing with something, now you're wanting to reach out to someone different, or bless you, or to reach out to me because there's something else that you can get from me that you don't necessarily get from her, or from her, because we all have friends for different things or whatever. Every now and then you have those friends where you can take anywhere. You understand what I'm saying? I just so happen to be a chameleon. You know, I can pretty much, if it hood, baby, I'm with it. You know what I'm saying? We can trap music.
Right.
You know, and if you want a gospel rock, I got your net too. You gonna have to say, hey, but you can't do that part. Just slow it down because it turns into a twerk. you got to bring me back sometime.
Right.
But I pride myself on being able to be the friend in the friend circle that can kind of go everywhere. You know what I'm saying? And to be okay with that. But also to discuss what I may be dealing with as a woman, and not to necessarily dump that on my partner, because now he's feeling like maybe I ain't doing enough right.
We be thinking that our man be our girlfriend.
Ooh, baby.
Yeah.
And that's why it's so necessary to have that balance of like whole and solid and healthy friendships with women outside of your marriage, outside of your partnership, because and to be able to separate like that sacred and divine union, and to not be like, and to make sure like if you are talking to your friend or your girlfriend about anything, that any advice that they give is healthy. You know, not, you need to do this with him because I done been hurt by the, you know. And then that will have you looking at your man like, yeah, I need to watch you. Or you'll have a conversation with women and she was like, yeah, girl, you need to leave him alone. He ain't it. And then 2 months later, they engaged.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That go back to that energy though we was talking about earlier. Like who are you sharing your energy with? Like so you won't be wearing something that's not yours. Because if your girlfriend come to you saying, you need to do all this, and if you looking at your dude like that, now you got all her stuff on. You ain't even looking at your dude in the light that you actually know your dude for. So. What you doing? You know what I'm saying?
It most definitely because we've all been there.
Yeah, and then you ostracize him.
Yeah.
And so he like, why you treat me different?
Yeah.
What's wrong with you? You talked to your friend. Your friend did that, you know, because y'all got a relationship.
Yeah. And that makes me think about me being in that type of like dark space, and we was sidebar talking about it, and I was grateful to have my sacred soul sisters, and it's like a sister circle, but you know what I'm saying, like we're spread out across like different states. However, you know what I'm saying, like now I'm about to do Blue Table Talk, and it's a collaboration, you know, but it's more so community based where women can come together and have those type of healing conversations where we can release and talk about different topics, and it be that safe space and safe haven to have those conversations with people that you know are not going to be judgmental and you know have experienced different things, because that's a part of us being able to trust each other is to let out our raw and uncut like whatever problems are going on, and being able to say, okay, I'm releasing this here, it's gonna stay here, and we gonna do what we need to do so that you don't have to continue to live in that. And we need that in our community, because sister circles historically have existed within our culture, you know what I'm saying, and we as a society like don't have that. And so with Soul Society, I want that to be here, and like for a long time, like I've had a vision for this type of community based like healing within women and with our brothers. But it's like, okay, so kind of like you, people keep tapping like, hey, what's up, like what we gonna do? So it's like, okay, let's do it, let's make it happen. And I would love like it to grow to a point where these would be the women that you call on, you know, like when you bear your first child and you need certain things, and it's like, nah, Hubs, we got it, you know what I'm saying? We gonna make sure she
because
got
we already
food. We gonna take her through this, you know, these rituals in this process so that she healed. Like we gonna wrap her and we gonna tie her. We gonna make sure like this process is what it is, because like in my learning and growing, it's like, dang.
It's
our parents didn't have that,
but they don't know how to give it to us.
Our elders had it to a degree, and they know certain stuff, but it just didn't look like that. You know what I'm saying? Like they tell us to stay in the house for those 6 weeks and to take care of ourselves and to do certain things, but there are little pieces that are left out. You know what I'm saying? Where you have, and you're not overworking each sister. You know what I'm saying? But it's like, oh no, I got you today. JB got you tomorrow. Like we gonna schedule this thing out.
It's a collaborative effort. And
exactly.
that speaks. I don't know if y'all seen, but the last episode we just put out a week ago was the power of collaboration, and it really dealt with like Black women and it, you know, the theory or the myth or the recent history of us not trusting each other, us coming out of that now, like the energy shifting where we're coming out of that, dealing with supporting each other in business, supporting each other as friends, big up in each other. A lot of what y'all talked about, like when we don't. Like what you mentioned, like you might say, you know, go to your friend and y'all have a conversation about what you're going through, and she give you some advice, and then 2 months later they engage type of situation. Right. You know, it's really about being able to build, at the end of the day, collaborating. We talk about, that was a big part of our conversation was the sacred circles. Because I mean, you know, y'all see Queen Afu on my altar, so y'all already know. Sacred circles are huge. That is a really big thing for me, like sacred sister circles. But really being able to like intimately and emotionally release and be vulnerable amongst other women and not feel less than, because like if me and you do the same thing, we're not in competition with each other. No. Or if you do what you do great, it doesn't mean I'm less great. It's your moment. Let's celebrate your moment. Yes. Let's celebrate you in that moment. It doesn't mean that I got to compete with your moment or I got to big up your moment. You know, like, oh, me too. And I remember when blah, blah, blah happened. You know, a lot of that happens where people's insecurities will stifle their growth and their friendships and their connections. And it's a trust issue. Like, insecurity is rooted in the inability to trust, whether it is self, whether it is parents, whether it is people who you expected to be there for you. It is rooted in trust, and
it's dealing with the trauma too.
Yeah.
Whether it be childhood trauma, mom trauma, daddy issues. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of times women get deemed for daddy issues, but it's a lot of men out here with mommy issues, with their own daddy issues.
I really think there's a lot of us with mommy issues that don't get addressed.
Yeah.
I got mommy issues.
I think there's a lot of us with mommy issues. I'm really surprised. Like, one way I got this friend. She said, you have a whole bunch of useless friends.
Ooh.
And I told her, and she said that because, like, I know a lot of people. For some reason, when I meet people, whether I work with them, for some reason, it's like they always feel like they connect with me in some kind of way. So it's like, well, I don't have one circle. It's like I have a whole bunch of ringlets just everywhere.
And sometimes they overlap.
Right. Yeah. And I have, like, people for different things. I have somebody I haven't talked to in 2 years. They'll call me up, and we, like, jump right back into it like it's nothing. Then we might go for another year, but we're still friends. We're there for each other.
Yeah.
And she was like, you have a whole bunch of useless friends, but you don't really trust women. And
everybody has some sort of use. I would never say anybody is useless.
Yeah. I don't feel that way though, because I noticed, like, one thing I used to see on Facebook all the time. I've still seen it. I've seen some girls be like, if you want to find out who your friends are, get pregnant, and they were saying like they don't have anybody there for them. But when I tell you, when I got pregnant with her, I had people who I haven't talked to in years sending gifts. People I didn't even think saw me as important enough. Sending, like, for real, sending gifts and stuff like that. I'm like, I'm getting gifts all the time from Amazon. I'm like, where's this stuff coming from? Like, you know, because a lot of people, you'll be to connect with them in a way, and they hold you, and you know, because you were there for them when they needed to during a certain thing.
That's why you don't burn bridges.
Ooh,
that's why you don't burn bridges. But also, people who just look at whether or not people are just useful, I be like, your psychology is based on taking.
Yeah,
because you're like, that's a user and a beater. Yeah. What can you give me? What can you're not useful in my life. So that kind of stuff, when people are valuable just by being.
Right.
Even a thief can be useful in your life because it's a lesson learned. Like, they came and they taught you something, or they took something out of your life so that you would go on a journey seeking to replace it. And on that journey, you gain something. Like, every moment in your life and everybody that interacts in it is of use.